Okay, hello and welcome to today's lecture. Today we are going to be covering lecture number 6 from chapter number 8. So once again, welcome to CS 303 Operating Systems, chapter number 8 and lecture number 6. So today again we will be continuing our discussion on paging, and we will look at several aspects of it. One of them is called hierarchical paging. So what happens in this case is we observe that on modern systems the size of the page table itself can be quite large. Okay, so because of the fact that the page table size can be quite large, we may not even get sufficient amount of contiguous memory to save the page table, right? So note that the page table needs to be saved for each and every process you have on your system, right? So because we cannot get a contiguous memory for saving the page table, then we have to do what we call paging the page table, right? Which means we divide the page table into parts, and then we allow those parts of the page table to be allocated in a non-contiguous manner. Okay, so just like this is what paging actually does. It allows the memory required for a process to be assigned in a non-contiguous way using pages. So here we are applying the same principle to page tables also, and we'll look at some other aspects like inverted page tables and so on. Okay. Okay. So now I am on slide 2, and now we talk about hierarchical paging. Okay. So we recall in one of the earlier lectures we had defined these two quantities m and n, right? So we had the quantities m and n. What was m? So the size of the logical address space is assumed to be 2 raised to m bytes. Okay, so the size of the logical address space is 2 raised to m bytes, which means what is m? M is the number of bits in the logical address. Okay, so m is number of bits in the logical address. So if the logical address has m bits, then using those m bits we can effectively address 2 raised to m bytes. So we had seen that. And what is n over here? So we assume that page size is 2 raised to n bytes. So n is the number of bits in the offset. So we had two other quantities, p and d. P was the page number, d was the offset. So if the offset needs n bits, right? The offset of the address needs n bits, then the page number has m minus n bits, because total number of bits in the address, logical address, is m, right? So assuming that m is 32, which means we have a 32-bit logical address, what is the logical address space we can access? 2 raised to 32 bytes, right? So 2 raised to 32 bytes. So if I try to see how much it is, just give me a second. I'm just trying to find the value of 2 raised to 32. Yeah, so 2 raised to 32 is 4 comma 294 comma 967 comma 296. So 4 comma 294 comma 967 comma 296. So it's roughly looks like it's roughly 4 GB. Okay, looks like it's roughly 4 GB. So when I do gigabyte to byte, GB to bytes, so 10 raised to 9. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it's roughly 4 gigabytes. So it tells us as a 32-bit address can effectively access 4 GB. So generally RAM can be a 4 gigabyte. So 32-bit address is sufficient. Right. So that is the size of the logical address space, 2 raised to 32 bytes or 4 GB. Right. And now if we have the assumption that the page size is 4 kilobyte, 4 KB, then how many bits do we need to address 4 KB? So 4 KB is 4 into 1 KB, which is 2 raised to 12. Right. So which means 12 bits. So here now our value of P is 20, right, and D is 12. So 4 kilobyte page, which means our offset has to be 12 bits. Total address is 32 bits. 32 minus 12, 20 will be P. Okay. Now further assume, what does the page table entry contain? It contains the corresponding physical address. So assume that each page table entry takes up 32 bits or 4 bytes because it contains a physical address. So let's assume that each page table entry, for storing each page table entry, we need 32 bits or 4 bytes. So now what is the size of the page table? Means how much memory is needed to store the page table. Right? Obviously, number of pages into size of a page. Okay. So how many entries you have in the page table into 4 bytes for each entry. So how many entries do we have? 2 raised to 32 divided by 2 raised to 12, because we are taking an address space of 2 raised to 32 bytes and we are dividing it into pages of 2 raised to 12, right? So how many pages will we have? Right? How many pages will we have? 2 raised to 32 divided by 2 raised to 12, 2 raised to 20. Okay, so these are the number of pages we will have. So you can see quite a large number, and each will have 4 bytes. So when we do the math, it's what we get is roughly 4 MB. So size of a page table is 4 megabyte. So what we are saying is each process may need up to 4 megabyte of physical address space for storing only the page table, right, which is definitely on the higher side. So if you have a large number of processes, each need a page table. For each process we need 4 MB just to store the page table. So we're not even starting a discussion on storing the actual pages. This is just storing the page table, the address translations, virtual to physical. So clearly we may not be able to allocate the page table contiguously in memory. So we see what happens for this example: 32-bit address, 4 KB page size, realistic values found in modern systems. The page table itself takes up 4 MB. So the issue is we may not be able to allocate the page table contiguously in memory. So then what we need to do is we need to chop up the page table and allocate it in a non-contiguous fashion. So this is what hierarchical paging is. Okay. Okay, so now I am on slide number 3, hierarchical paging. So in the last slide we saw that one of the issues with the page tables is the amount of memory needed to store them. So we saw that each page table needs 4 MB of memory, which is quite large, right? So you have a large number of processes, a page table for each. This can quickly run into an issue because your physical memory is precious resource. So the way out is, since we cannot or we may not be able to get contiguous space for storing the page table, we page the page table, which means we store, we divide the page table into chunks, into parts, and then we allow for non-contiguous storing of the page table chunks or page table parts. Okay. So now our logical address will have not 2 but 3 components, 3 sections: primary page number, secondary page number, and offset. So earlier, if you recall, what were the parts of the logical address. We had two parts, P and D. So whenever we were presented with a logical address, what did we do? We extracted the P part and the D part from it. Using the P part, which is the page number, we index into the page table, get the corresponding F part, starting physical address. We combine it with the offset to get the total physical address. Right? The offset remains the same. So now our logical address will have three components. Okay, primary page number, secondary page number, and offset. Okay. So first we will extract the primary page number part. Then we will look into an entry called the primary page table. So with the primary page number as the index, we look at that particular entry in the primary page table. We get the address of the secondary page table, and then we look up using that as an index. We look into a secondary page table, and then we will get our physical base physical address. Then we combine it with the offset. We get a total physical address. So we'll see how this works out. Okay. Okay, now I am on slide 4, and now we see a picture that shows us the address translation scheme for a two-level page table. So in a single level page table, the original one we discussed, we have only one page table, right? Stored contiguously in memory. So when that is not possible, then we have a two-level page table, right? So now here what we are doing is we are taking the we are taking the page table and dividing it into parts, right? And then each part of the page table is stored somewhere in the physical memory, and different parts of the page table may be stored non-contiguously in physical memory. So you can see this will take care of the issue of not having one contiguous block for storing the page table. So the whatever technique we applied for logical memory using paging, same technique we are applying for page table, right? So the way this will work is, so we'll do a more concrete example also very soon. The way it works is, when we are presented with a logical address, so we extract the P1 component of it. Okay. So this is the P1 field, and using these bits, we extract these bits, and using them as an index, we look up into an outer page table. Okay. And we get an entry, and what does that entry contain? That entry would contain the starting address of the appropriate second level page table. Because remember, now we have multiple chunks of page tables scattered throughout the memory at different addresses, and they are non-contiguous, right? So we may have one chunk of the page table starting at address 20,000, other chunk starting at address 5,000, third chunk at 10,000, fourth chunk at 15,000. So what this outer page table will give us is the entry will give us the starting address of the appropriate second level page table. So now we know the starting address, we reach that, and now we extract the P2 part, right? And using P2 as an index into the appropriate second level page table, right? So remember, we have many of these second level page tables. So using P2 as the index into the appropriate second level page table, we'll now get the starting physical frame address. And then we combine that with the offset to get the physical address. So this way we can do address translation. We first extract P1, use P1 as an index into outer page table, get the starting address of appropriate second level page table. Once we have that, then we extract P2, use that as an index into the appropriate second level page table, and get the starting physical frame address. Combine it with D, get the total physical address. Okay. Okay, so now I am on slide 5 and now we will do a more concrete example. So we take the same example as before. Logical address space is 2 raised to 32 bytes, 4 gigabytes. Page size is 4 kilobytes. Right, and of course, the total page table needs 2 raised to 20 entries into 4 bytes, 4 MB of space. So same example as the earlier, which we discussed in I think slide 1 or 2. So the way we are dividing it is now we are for P1 we are reserving 10 bits, for P2 reserving 10 bits, and the offset is 12 bits. So offset is 12 bits, which means that what happens to the page size? Page size remains the same. It's still 4 KB. Okay, so page size is still the same, but now instead of having 1 P of 20, we have 10 for P1, 10 for P2. Okay. So the implication of this is we are going to first, if you look at what is the size of our single level page table, how many entries do we have in the single level page table? 2 raised to 20 entries, right? So now what we are doing is we are dividing this into 2 raised to 10 parts, right? So we have this initial page table, single level page table consisting of 2 raised to 20 entries. We are dividing it into 2 raised to 10 parts. So what is the size of each part? 2 raised to 20 divided by 2 raised to 10, 2 raised to 10, right? So if we have 10 entries, we are dividing into chunks of 2 entries. So how many chunks do we have? 10 by 2, 5. So same way over here. 2 raised to 20 divided by 2 raised to 10, we have 2 raised to 10 parts. So we take the original page table, divide it into chunks of 2 raised to 10 entries, and we have 2 raised to 10 such chunks. Okay, so this is the way we will be approaching this. Okay. Okay, so now I am on slide 6 and now we look at our example for 2 level page table. So the original problem was our logical address had 2 components, P was 20, T was 12, page table size, page size was 4K. So for P we had 20 bits, which means this could point to 2 raised to 20 pages, right? So the page table will have 2 raised to 20 entries, 0 to 2 raised to 20 minus 1. And clearly what we said was the size was too big, right? 2 raised to 20 into 32 bits, 4 bytes came out to be 4 megabyte. So the size was too big to find contiguous memory. So now what we're doing is we're chopping up this page table into parts. So we divide this page table into chunks of 2 raised to 10. And how many such chunks? 2 raised to 10. So 2 raised to 10 chunks of the original page table, and each chunk has how many entries? 2 raised to 10 entries. Okay. So now what we have is we have an outer page table which I am calling PT1, and we have inner page tables, right? Many of them which I am calling PT2, and then we have D. So as you can see, PT1 it has 1024 entries, right? 2 raised to 10 entries, and each entry corresponds to one of the chunks of the outer page table, one of the chunks of the original page table. So once again, PT1 has how many entries? 2 raised to 10. Each entry points to a part of the page table, and the size of each part is also 2 raised to 10. So you can see now total we will get the 2 raised to 20, and because each entry in PT1 corresponds to 2 raised to 10 entries, right? Each entry in PT1 corresponds to 2 raised to 10 entries, and because we have 2 raised to 10 entries in PT1, so they will all correspond to 2 raised to 20 entries. The only difference is each of these PT2s, each of these inner page tables, they can be allocated in a non-contiguous manner. Okay. So that's how it goes. And the question is how many or how much memory can each inner page table address. So each inner page table has 2 raised to 10 entries. One entry has a goes to the pages, right? So each address is 32 bit, right? So which means we have 2 raised to 10 entries as it says. And what is the size of each page? So because we can see for each entry in PT2 we have a correspondence with one between one page and one frame, right? So the size of the page and therefore the size of the frame is 4 KB, correct? 4 KB, which is 2 raised to 12. So 2 raised to 10 into 2 raised to 12 is 4 MB. So what we are saying is each of these inner page tables can address 4 MB of memory, right? So we have 2 raised to 10 of these. So 2 raised to 10 can address 4 gigabyte. That's how the calculation will come. Okay. So once again, each of these inner page tables can address 4 megabyte of memory because each entry corresponding to one page, one frame, size is 4 KB, 2 raised to 12, 2 raised to 10 such entries. So 2 raised to 22, which means 4 MB. And it is correct because we have 2 raised to 10 such page tables. So total memory addressable is 2 raised to 32. Okay. So this is the arrangement. Now the question is how will the address translation take place? So we'll be given a let's say 32-bit address. From that the first 10 bits will be PT1, which we extract. Right. So note that for PT1 we have 1024 entries. Therefore we need 10 bits. Right. 10 bits are needed for accessing 1024 entries. Right. That should be easy to figure out. Right. So we extract the PT1 part using those 10 bits, highest order 10 bits, and we use that value to index into PT1. So once we get a hit, then we look up the corresponding entry in PT1, which is the starting address of the appropriate second level page table. Right. Once we get that address, we know the starting address of the second level page table. Then we look at PT2, next 10 bits. And in that particular second level page table, now we use PT2 as an index and to get to the appropriate entry in that particular second level page table. Okay. Once we get there, now we have found our starting physical address for the frame, the mapping. We combine that with D and address translation is complete. So once again we given the logical address, we extract PT1 and using those 10 bits we can access all 1024 entries in PT1. So we use this PT1 as an index, the bits for highest order 10 bits as an index into PT1, and we get the starting address of the second level page table. We go there. Now we extract the next 10 bits, use that as an index into that particular second level page table, get the starting physical frame address combined with D, get the total physical address. So this is how the address translation works in 2-level page tables. Okay. So now I am on slide 7. This is just showing the same picture from the book. So here they call this PT1 top level page table. It's got 1024 entries and only 3 of them are pointing to second level page tables. So one advantage of this scheme is that we avoid keeping all the page tables in memory at the same time. So we avoid keeping all the second level page tables in memory at the same time. So in this particular example, we only need 3 inner level page tables, okay, corresponding to entry number 0 of top level, corresponding to entry number 1 of top level page table, and corresponding to entry number 1023, the last entry of the top level page table. We need only these 3 parts of the page table, rest are not needed, so they do not need to be stored. Okay. So one advantage is which we use over here is we avoid keeping all the page tables in memory all the time. Only ones that are needed. For example, in this case, we only need these 3 inner level page tables. Okay. So 2 raised to 10 plus 2 raised to 10 plus 2 raised to 10. Right. And you can see, so each page top level page table entry is pointing to a secondary page table, and each secondary or inner page table addresses 4 megabyte of memory. We saw the calculation in the previous slide. Okay. Okay, so now I am on slide number 8, and now we do an example of how we can have address translation with this 2 level page table. Okay. So let's say the virtual address that is presented is in hexadecimal 004 03004. So when we convert it to binary, we get 4206596. Okay. So we get that, and so this is in decimal base 10. Now when we convert it to binary base 2, this is what we get. Okay. Now from here we know the size of PT1, PT2 and D. PT1 is 10, PT2 is 10, and D is 4, all in number of bits. So once we extract those 3 components, their value in decimal, the values are for PT1 it's 1, PT2 3, and D 4. So which means in the outer or the main page table, we have to look at entry 1, which is the second entry. So if you see the previous slide, entries start from 0, go all the way to 1023. So the value is 1, so which means we have to look at the second entry in the outer page table. So which will point us to the appropriate inner level page. So the entry could contain that inner level page number, or it could contain a pointer to the starting memory address of the inner that particular inner level page table. Pointer is also an address. So now after peeking into entry number 1 of the outer page table, we know the location of the appropriate inner level page table. So we go there, we go to that address, and within that the value for PT2 is 3. So which means we have to look at the 4th entry. Entries are 0, 1, 2, 3. 4th entry. Right. So let's assume that this particular one is pointing to some amount of memory, right? So so first thing is, what is the size of that particular inner page table, right? The one for which PT2 is 3, right? So what's the size of all the inner page tables? They have equal size. Sizes, they have 2 raised to 10 entries, right? And they can access 4 MB of memory, right? And each entry is has 4K, right? Because that is what the page size and the frame size. So what we are saying is PT2 is divided into chunks of 4K. So first chunk is 0K to 4K, next is 4K to 8K, third is 8K to 12K, fourth is 12K to 16K. So why this 4K? Because this is the page size, right? So what exactly does each entry contain? It contains the mapping between the page and the frame. So page size, frame size, 4K. Now fourth entry would correspond to 12K to 16K chunk. So these are all internal to this particular PT2. Okay, this particular PT2. Okay. So 12K to 16K, which means this fourth entry would correspond to 12288 to 16383 address within that chunk. Okay. So we just look into this entry and this would contain the frame number of frame base address. Add this to the offset, get the full physical address. Okay. So what once again I repeat the process. We are given the virtual address, we convert it into binary. From that we extract PT1, PT2 and D values. PT1 is 1, which means in the outer page table we have to look at the second entry. Once we do that, we get the inner page table number or a pointer to the starting address of the that particular inner page table, right? Once we get that, we go to the beginning of that particular inner page table. Another question is within the for that particular inner page table, which entry do we have to look at? That is given by PT2 value, which is the value is 3. So we have to look at the fourth entry inside that particular inner page table. So because entries are 0, 1, 2 and 3. So looking at fourth entry corresponds to internal address 12K to 16K. Right, 12K to 16K. So which would be 12288 to 16383 within that chunk. So because if you see what does each, the size of each entry, right, in that inner page table, it contains an address, 32-bit address, right, and from that we can get the each inner page table is pointing to 4M. We saw that calculation last time, right? Right. So each inner page table can address 4M of memory. Okay. Size of each inner page table is 2 raised to 10 number of entries into 1 into 4, 32-bit, 4 bytes. Right. But the address, the amount of memory which the inner page table can address is 4M. Right. We did that calculation last in the previous slide. Because each entry, contains a mapping from page to frame, and the size of a page is equal to the size of the frame, which is 4K. So each entry can address 4K. We have 210 such entries, so we can address 210 into 4K, 2 raised to 22 4M. So now so within that particular inner level page table, we address the address we correspond to is 12K to 16K, right? So bottom line is that particular entry will contain the frame number of frame base address. We add this to the offset to get the physical address. Okay. So I hope this 4K chunks are clear, because what's happening is each inner level page table can address 4M megabytes of memory. Right. So we saw that calculation just now. Each inner level page table can address 4 megabyte of memory. Right. And we have, in each inner level page table, how many entries do we have? 2 raised to 10. So each entry can address, very simple, one page 4K. So that's a calculation we're using. Each entry can address 4K or one page, right? One page, one frame. So here we're looking at the fourth entry in that particular inner level page table, which internal to that inner level page table corresponds to the 12K to 16K chunk, or 122.882.16383 address. Okay, so that it corresponds to that particular frame. Okay, so we just look into that entry, we get the frame number, frame base address, add this to the offset, get the full physical address. Okay, so I hope the process is clear. Look into get PT1, use that as an index into the outer level page table, get the entry. From there, get the starting address of the appropriate inner level page table. Use PT2 as an index to that particular inner level page table and get the frame number or frame base address. Okay. So essentially, let's say inner page. So we have a number of inner page tables. And we can assume that inner page table 1 corresponds to 0M to 4M of memory, and we can assume that inner page table 2 corresponds to 4M to 8M of memory. So this is an assumption that cannot, the absolute address can be anything, because addresses can be non-contiguous. But what we definitely know is that each inner level page table can address 4M of memory, right? So it is divided into chunks, and each chunk can access 4K, can address 4K, right? Because that is the page size, frame size. And which byte do we want to access within that page or frame? That we get from the value of the offset. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Okay, so now I am on slide 9. So this is an example of the VAX architecture, virtual address extension. So this supports a variation of 2-level paging. This is a popular machine sold from 1977 to 2000, sort of extinct now. So here the unique thing was it was a 32-bit machine with a page size of 512 bytes. The page size is a bit smaller, rather than 4K, it's 512 bytes. So logical address space is 2 raised to 32 bytes, and this address space is divided into 4 sections of 2 raised to 30 bytes each. Okay, right. So each section represents a different part of the logical address space. So logical address is as follows, its constitution. First 2 higher order bits designate the appropriate section. So we have 4 sections. So how many bits do we need to access all 4 sections? 2 bits. So first 2 high order bits designate the appropriate section. 00, 01, 10, 11. Next 21 bits represent the logical page number of that section. 21 bits for the page number, and the final 9 bits for the offset. Right. So if the page size is 512 bytes, 2 raised to 9 bytes, so we need 9 bits. So out of 32, 9 taken for that, 2 taken for the section, 11, 32 minus 11, 21 bits needed for the logical page number. So note that all the address space of a process may not be active at any point of time. We may not need to bring the whole process in to run. Parts of it may need to run. For example, only the printing part of a Word document, only the spell check of a Word document. Right. So only the sections required, they will be loaded into the memory, rest will not. So for the sections which are not loaded, for the sections of the logical address space which are not loaded into memory, there will be no entries in the page table. Right. Just like we saw in the previous example, we had only 3 active inner page tables out of 2 raised to 10, out of 1024. Only 3 were active. So rest of them were not active. So 1024 are total inner page tables. 3 are active. So 1024 minus 3, 1021 are not active. So their entries in the outer page table will be blank. So that is one advantage. Only the page tables that need to be brought in, they are brought in. Rest don't have to be brought in, depending on which part of the address space you want to bring in. Okay. Okay, so now I am on slide number 10, and here what we are discussing is that sometimes even a 2-level paging may not be good enough, may not be sufficient. So we consider a 64-bit logical address space. So now we know, or we have observed that 64-bit addresses are quite common. So using 64 bits, you can access 2 raised to 64 bytes, right? 2 raised to 64 bytes, which is, which will be quite huge. So now here, if you say use the same page size, 4 kilobyte, right? 2 raised to 12. So 12 bits needed for the D for the offset, and how many bits for P? 64 minus 12, 52 bits, which means 2 raised to 52 entries. Huge entries, huge number of entries. If you use a 2-level scheme, then we have something like one configuration could be outer page 42 bits, inner page 10 bits, offset 12. Right. So this is one configuration. So note, this is again problematic because outer page has page table has 2 raised to 42 entries, or 2 raised to 44 bytes, right? Each entry is 4 bytes, 32 bits. So clearly, the 2-level page table will also not work because it will be hard to find this 2 raised to 44 bytes of memory, in one place. So which means 2-level paging is not enough. So which means we need to page the outer page table as well. So note that in the 2-level paging, the outer page table had how many entries? It had 1024, and the assumption was we will find a contiguous block capable of storing the outer page table. Whereas in case of 64-bit logical address, even to store the outer page table, we may not have that much memory. So which means we have to page the outer page table as well. Okay, so this is actually called 3-level paging. Okay. So here we have, so we clearly see the problem here. With 64-bit address and 2-level paging, outer page itself will be quite huge, right? 42 bits, which means 2 raised to 42 entries. So we page the outer page table also. So now our address would look like this, right? Offset 12, inner page 10, outer page 10, second outer page 32. So we have paged the outer page as well, and now we call that. So we have another entry, second outer page. So now given 64-bit address, we first use the 32-bit, extract 32 bits, look up that entry in the second outer page table, get the starting address of the outer page table, and then use the value of P2 to get into use that as an index into the outer page table, get the starting address of the inner page table, and then once we have that, then we look into the inner page table, use P3, get the appropriate entry in the inner page table. Now we've got the frame address, use that to the offset, and get the address. So many levels now we see we have in our addressing. We have to look at many page tables. We have to look at second outer page table, then outer page table, then inner page table, then we get the address we need. So many levels of page table lookups are needed, which will have a performance issue. Okay. So this is an example of a 3-level paging scheme. So clearly the issue was the outer page table itself was getting to be huge. So now we have to page the outer page table as well. Okay. So we page the outer page table as well. So note that this again may not be sufficient because outer page table still, it has how many entries does it have? 2 raised to 32, and each entry is having a 32-bit address, so 2 raised to 34 bytes, which is still 16 gigabytes. So perhaps we would need to page the second outer page table as well, 4-level paging. So in fact, they mention in the book that the 64-bit UltraSPARC architecture, 64-bit UltraSPARC machine requires 7 levels of paging. 7 levels of paging to translate each logical address. So clearly the number of memory accesses is huge. So you can see the trade-off here. Why are those 7 levels of paging required? Because still the size of the outer page table is huge. So we have to keep on chopping it down till the size of our page tables is within our reach. And what that would do is add more and more levels of paging, which would obviously increase the number of memory accesses. So you can see the trade-off here, right? So I hope this 2-level and 3-level paging scheme is clear. Okay. Okay, so now let us talk about inverted page tables. Okay. So here, what is the issue with the regular page tables? If you look at the structure, we see that those page tables have one slot per virtual page, right? So we saw the structure of the page table. It has one slot per virtual page number, because P is used as the index, right, to look up into the page table. So from the address we extract P, it is the page number used as an index. So 32-bit address, P is 20 bits, so we have 2 raised to 20 entries, right? So as far as the page table is concerned, it has one slot per virtual page. And we have discussed that if we've got 64-bit addresses, the logical address space is 2 raised to 64 bytes, which is huge. And if we keep the page size as 4 KB, 2 raised to 12, how many pages do we have? So we're taking 2 raised to 64 bytes of logical address space, dividing it into chunks of 4 KB, right? So number of pages we have is 2 raised to 64 divided by 2 raised to 12, 2 raised to 52. Okay, number of pages is 2 raised to 52, right? Huge. So this much entries we need, right? So but what we observe is our bottleneck here is actually the amount of physical memory we have. So let's say modest machine, we have 512 MB of RAM available. So number of pages possible with 512 MB of RAM, because ultimately you have to map virtual to physical, right? So with 512 MB of RAM, 512 is 2 raised to 9, right? Not 512 MB, sorry, not bytes. So with 512 MB of memory and 4 KB page size, you can have 128K pages, right? So 2 raised to 52 versus 128K. So the observation is bottleneck is the amount of physical memory. Obviously, this cannot hold all the pages at once, right? because you have, worst case 2 raised to 52 pages. Your physical memory is not enough to provide mappings for each and every one of those 2 raised to 52 pages. At a time, the physical memory can provide mapping for how many? 128k pages. Note that the mapping has to be provided for kernel processes also, so size would be even smaller than this. So anyway, the idea of an inverted page table is how about storing a single page table entry per physical page and not per virtual page. So page table size in this case would reduce considerably. Anyway, your bottleneck is physical memory. You can't provide more mappings than what physical memory allows. So how about having one slot in the page table per per physical address. So rather than having one slot per virtual page, we have one slot per physical frame. Okay. This is called inverted page table. Advantage is the page size reduces considerably. Why? Because obviously the physical memory is much smaller than the virtual memory. So this is an inverted page table used in Sun Ultra Spark, Apple Power PCs, IBM PCs, and other kinds of architectures also. Okay. So now I am on slide 13. So still talking about inverted page tables. So we know that multiple processes use the physical memory at a time, right? We know that, right? One pool of physical memory, many processes can use. Hence, what we say is we have one global page table. So previous approach was have one page table per process, right? Now the approach is have one global page table with one entry per physical page, right? So instead of having one page table per process, have one global page table. Okay. So how do we implement this? We can have the page table as a linear array which contains one entry per physical page. Since the table is shared among processes, each entry needs to contain process ID of the page owner as well. So then what we do is for each entry in the page table, we have a PID component as well, which tells us, who is the page owner. Because the issue now is instead of having one page table per process, now we have a global page table. So looking at the entry, we need to know, who is the owning process also. So each entry contains virtual page number instead of the physical page number. So in a conventional page table, we used page number as an index, and the contents we got after the lookup were, base physical address. Here it's a reverse, it's an inverted page table. So each entry of the page table will contain the virtual page number instead of the physical page number. The physical page number here, how it will be used is, it will be used as an index into the table. Okay. So let's illustrate this using a diagram for IBM systems. Okay, how the lookup actually takes place for an inverted page table. So now I am on slide 14, and now we are looking at how an address translation would take place using an inverted page table. So we can see the logical address now has three components: PID, P and D. Okay. So what are the steps we take for address translation? The logical page number and current PID are compared against each entry in the page table. Okay, so you can see the page table. What does each entry contain? A tuple with the two values PID and page and P. Right? What is P? What exactly is P? Our virtual page number, right? So since this is an inverted table, the entry contains, instead of a physical frame, it contains virtual page. So the logical page number P and the current PID are compared against each entry in the page table. When a match is found, the index of the match replaces the physical page number in the address field and the physical address is obtained. So this inverted page table is indexed using physical frame number or the starting address, right? So starting address of the physical frame, what we had as F in the earlier example. So what you do is simple. You, given the logical address, you take out the PID and the P part, compare it with each of those entries in the inverted page table. Entries tuples with PID and P. Ultimately you get a match, and for that particular PID and P for which you get a match, you look up the index value, which is the physical page number, the starting address of the physical frame. Get that, add it to the offset, access the physical memory. So this is how inverted page table would work. Okay. So clearly the advantage here is the page table is created based on the physical addresses. Its index is a physical address, not the virtual one. So size is naturally kept small, and a global page table for all processes. So there is an exercise which you can look at, which perhaps we can discuss later. So if you have 64-bit addresses, 4 KB page size, 1 GB of main memory, what is the size of conventional page table? Size of an inverted page table. So you have 64-bit addresses, right? Page size is 4 KB. Size of main memory is 1 GB. So what is the size of a conventional page table? What we discussed earlier. And what is the size of an inverted page table? So you can think about it. The calculation is simple, and we can discuss it later. Okay. So I hope the concept of inverted page table is clear. So today we covered two important kinds of page tables. Well, the first one was hierarchical page table. So the issue there was the size of the page table can be significant, and we may not be able to find contiguous memory for that, for storing that page table. So what we do is we page the page table. So we looked at two-level paging, and then we saw that in some schemes, even if we do two-level paging, the size of the outer page table is still huge. So then we can go for 3-level and accordingly 4-level, 5-level, right? So that was hierarchical paging, and we saw how address translation can be done. And then we looked at inverted page table, in which the page tables are indexed according to the physical address. So in the corresponding live session, we will look at some numerical problems for both hierarchical paging and inverted page tables. Okay.